It's a beautiful spring day in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, a perfect day for A-Day. The Walk of Champions is jumping, and we're with you for the next hour on a special A-Day edition of Crimson Tide Kickoff, and we're going to start it all up right now.
Live from Bryant-Denny Stadium, it's Crimson Tide Kickoff A-Day Special with Gary Harris. Brought to you by Alpha Insurance.
Well, beautiful spring weather means plenty of A-Day activities out on the quad. One of the most beautiful campuses in the country hosts thousands of fans today who want to get a first glimpse at the 2014 version of the Crimson Tide. And welcome in, everybody, inside Bryant-Denny Stadium. I'm Gary Harris. Thanks for joining me for this special A-Day edition of Crimson Tide Kickoff. We've got a jam-packed show for you today as we prepare you for the kickoff of Alabama spring football game, which is set to get underway right here at Bryant-Denny at 1 p.m. We've got our WVUA crew out and about. Chelsea Barton is over on the quad. We'll check in with her in just a bit. Richard Scott, our chief meteorologist, will tell us what to expect out of the weather. It's perfect right now. And later on, we'll welcome in a couple of former Crimson Tide national champions, Martin Houston and Robert Lester. And you even have a chance to win some prizes by taking part in our A-Day trivia. But first, let's set the stage for the football game we'll see today on the field right below me. It's been an exciting spring, mainly because of all of the changes on the field. For one, Lane Kiffin is now the offensive coordinator. A.J. McCarron is no longer the starting quarterback under center. Plenty of storylines to keep up with as we watch and get ready. But the main thing Coach Saban wants to see is more toughness and a return to what he calls true Alabama football. That's how we get started with Coach Talk.
It's time for Coach Talk, brought to you by Locklear, Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, and Ram, your local five-star dealer.
Alabama football is supposed to be a tough, physical team that nobody really likes to play against, and that's been our identity. We've lost our identity a little bit, I think, the way we finished the year last year, and that's something that, you know, we got to get back, and it's hard, and you really can't make it easy. And the players, you know, got to really understand that and ask themselves who they are and who they want to be and what they want to do. So it's important to finish the spring the right way. I like the effort and the intensity and the enthusiasm in the last scrimmage. Hopefully we can have that same energy and enthusiasm and do a little bit better job of executing, you know, this scrimmage coming up.
And here is a look at the stadium. It is in absolutely pristine condition today. The gates are open now, and the fans are starting to file in. It's looking like it's going to be another impressive A-Day crowd for sure. Now, the rosters were revealed on Thursday. The format is best against best, so the Crimson team that you'll see is made up of the first-team offense. That includes Blake Sims at quarterback, Cam Robinson at left tackle, and T.J. Yeldon and Derrick Henry in the backfield. Meanwhile, the white team will be made up of the first-team defense, so this won't be just a casual scrimmage. They will get after each other. You can bet on that. Let's go ahead and go around the horn and check in with other members of our CTKO team. First, let's check in on Chelsea Barton, who's over at Denny Chimes, where they're getting ready to do the annual Walk of Fame ceremony. Chelsea, take it away.
Hey Gary, that's right, out here live on the University of Alabama's quad, where the weather is great, the atmosphere is great, and you know how these Alabama fans are. They've been waiting since early January for more Alabama football, and today's the day they're going to get just that. We'll be able to see who's going to fill the shoes of last year's great team members. And speaking of shoes, in any moment, A.J. McCarron, Kevin Norwood, and C.J. Mosley, last year's team captains, will be joining the Walk of Fame. They'll place their hand and footprints in the cement blocks located just behind me, behind Denny Chimes on the quad. We'll have that and plenty more coverage coming up from the quad. Live on the quad, I'm Chelsea Barton for WVUA News.
Thank you so much, Chelsea. Great report. Looking forward to checking back in with you in just a little bit. All right, as I said, we'll check back in with her, but right now let's head to the Walk of Champions, where Richard Scott, our chief meteorologist, is standing by to give us a first look at the weather today. Richard, so far so good, buddy.
Hey, really nice weather. Couldn't ask for a better weather day, Gary. The sun is back out. Temperatures are warming up quite a bit. In fact, perfect weather for Alabama A-Day. Again, I'm live on the Walk of Champions. Folks are getting ready to get in the stadium. First comes, first serve out there in the stadium. Let's check out the satellite radar, because things are looking good across Alabama. There's the football where Tuscaloosa is, this big upper-level low that brought us the rain. Over the past couple of days, it's getting out of here, so no more issues of rain. But over to Tuscaloosa, the current conditions, we got 72. It is a gorgeous day, picture-perfect weather. A little light north breeze around 10 miles per hour. The air is dry here in Alabama. Two-state satellite radar composite. This is what we're dealing with all across the area. Temperatures are getting warmer today. In fact, we'll continue to warm up. In fact, we'll check out the 8-day forecast. This is what we could expect. Temperatures inside Bryant-Denny Stadium, we're talking mid-70s by kickoff, 1 o'clock. Here comes that forecast. Check it out, 1 o'clock, 75. We'll stay in the mid-70s. You know, there's a chance could get in the upper 70s to near 80 if the sun stays out. And I think that's going to happen over the next several hours as we go towards halftime at the end of the game. 75, expect. Again, live on the Walk of Champions. Gary, we're going to send it back to you, but we're going to talk more about weather here a little bit later in the show. Gary?
Richard, we can talk about weather all day when it's as beautiful as it is today. Thank you so much. All right, we've got much more to come here on our special A-Day edition of Crimson Tide Kickoff live from Bryant-Denny Stadium. Coming up later, we'll bring in Carolina Panthers safety Robert Lester, so make sure and stick around for that. But next, we dive right head first into the quarterback race. Who will start when fall rolls around, and can one of these guys be impressive enough to make an impact today in the A-Day game? Martin Houston will join us to discuss. And as we go to break, let's look at our A-Day trivia brought to you by Krispy Kreme Donuts and the Soup Store. Answer this question on Twitter using the hashtag CTKO Trivia for a chance to win. Now here's the question. Before Nick Saban arrived at Alabama in 2007 in that record crowd, what year had the highest attended A-Day game in Alabama history prior to 2007? Remember, use the hashtag on Twitter, CTKO Trivia, and tweet your answer to win. We'll announce the winner and the answer later on in the program. Again, what was the most highly attended A-Day game in history prior to 2007? A gorgeous day in Titletown. Stay with us on CTKO's A-Day special. Martin Houston joins me next as we discuss the quarterback battle. We'll be right back. With the A-Day kickoff closing in, the Walk of Champions continues to fill up with Alabama fans wanting to get a sneak peek ahead to the 2014 version of the Crimson Tide. Welcome back, everybody, to Crimson Tide Kickoff. You know, one big part of the puzzle will be who will lead the new Lane Kiffin offense. A.J. McCarron's illustrious career has ended, and now he leaves some big shoes to fill. Lee Smith joins us live from down on the Walk of Champions with more on this spring's quarterback race. Lee, it's shaping up to be interesting, to say the least.
That's right, Gary. The biggest question mark heading into this spring was who will replace one of the most decorated quarterbacks in the history of Alabama. Well, Nick Saban says it's not one player, but a trio that has set themselves above the rest.
Blake has had a really good spring and has taken some command. Cooper Bateman has made a lot of improvement, done a nice job. Alex still, competing. So, those three guys have sort of emerged as the three guys that look like they're most ready to play.
However, Saban's not the only one impressed.
All our quarterbacks are doing a great job talking to the offense and keeping everybody going. The quarterback situation is really up in the air right now. Everybody is fighting for a job, so we'll see what happens.
Tight end target O.J. Howard says he just wants to enjoy the great competition and see what unfolds.
Everybody who's been battling for the quarterback job has really been doing really well this year, so everybody's looking good, and I'm really enjoying watching it.
New offensive coordinator Lane Kiffin has his work cut out for him, trying to install a whole new system. But Amari Cooper says that Kiffin's made it easy for everyone.
He has a good take on how to be successful as an offensive coordinator. He came in and made things simple, and he wants to get playmakers the ball.
But ultimately, the starting job will be won by whomever can play out Al Davis's motto the best and just win, baby.
Which guys can develop into guys that can actually execute and do that on the most consistent basis. It's all about playing winning football.
For Crimson Tide Kickoff, I'm Lee Smith.
And here's a look at Blake Sims' numbers throughout the spring. He's already doubled his yards and touchdowns, so he's definitely secured himself as the guy to beat when Jacob Coker gets back to campus this summer. And Coker has already taken a step in the right direction, proving to the coaching staff he wants to be here a little bit early. He says he's going to skip his own commencement in May at FSU just so he can be in Tuscaloosa a day early. Live at the Walk of Champions, I'm Lee Smith. Back to you, Gary.
Thanks, Lee. Great report. Good insight into the quarterback position, and now more insight, because joining me to discuss the quarterback position is former Crimson Tide fullback, national champion from 1992, co-host of the Houston and Huber Show on 99.1 Sports Talk Tide Radio, and talking, of course, about Martin Houston.
Good to be here,
Good
Gary.
to have you. Now, obviously, you didn't play quarterback, but you played with a guy in Jay Barker who knew how to manage the offense, do what was asked of him, not try to do too much, and it led you guys to a perfect record in 1992. Under Nick Saban, the formula has been pretty similar to the one that Gene Stallings employed. Yes, he wants his quarterback to make plays, but not at the expense of making mistakes. A.J. McCarron did that very well for 3 years. McElroy did it before him. John Parker Wilson did it before McElroy. But now the quarterback is up for grabs again. Let's start by talking about the guy who seems to have made a big move this spring, and that's the fifth-year senior Blake Sims. If he wins the job, do you think he can get the job done?
Absolutely. For a couple reasons. I think Coach Saban's style of offense, Gary, makes it really easy, not easy, but easier for a quarterback to come in and play because he doesn't put so much on him. And then when you look at this year's team, the fact that Blake Sims has established himself as the guy that's moving out there, he has great running backs. If the offensive line comes together, then those two, and then Amari Cooper playing his game, then Blake really can make a difference. And then the last thing is the advantage that Blake has, I think, over the other guys, is that left tackle, maybe a little shaky, and he adds another dimension that will be needed, I believe, early on in the season to escape some of those free rushes.
He can certainly use his feet. Cooper Bateman and Alec Morris have had good springs as well, but everybody's keeping an eye on the guy who's not here. Jacob Coker, the Florida State transfer. We've talked about Blake Sims. He seems to have a leg up right now, but Coker is looming out there. How difficult, though, is it to come in a brand new system with a brand new team and not go through spring and win the job in the fall?
Well, I think the first thing is he's an established quarterback. He's not a starter at Florida State, but he's been beaten out by a first-round draft pick and a Heisman Trophy winner. So you got a guy coming in that has the ability to grasp an offense. It's tough, and it's probably going to be tougher for him because he's going to have to supplant a guy that has paid his dues. And players love guys who have paid their dues. And so there's a lot of guys who love Blake Sims. And I think that will be harder than anything with him winning the job. I think his talent will take care of what happens on the field, though.
Well, Martin, we know this. It's going to be fun to watch. It's going to be fun to watch today.
Absolutely.
Thank you for your time. Remember, Cats Martin every weekday morning on the Houston and Huber Show on 99.1 Tide Radio. All right, still much more to come on our CTKO A-Day special, including another check-in with the fans down on the quad. Chelsea Barton will join us next. Plus, he made plenty of plays on the field in his 4 years at Alabama. Now he's doing it in the NFL. Robert Lester of the Carolina Panthers joins us to catch up and talk about the Tide. This is the Crimson Tide Kickoff A-Day special on WVUA, Alabama's home team. Stick around. We'll be right back after this. WVUA TV, get connected. In just a little while, this stadium will be more crowded than it is right now, and the players will be on the field. Bryant-Denny Stadium looking great as usual for A-Day. And welcome back to Crimson Tide Kickoff, presented by Alpha Insurance. Now, don't forget that you can interact with us throughout the show on Twitter using the hashtag CTKOAday. Maybe we'll read some of your tweets coming up later on in the program. But right now, let's head back over to the quad. That's where we find our Chelsea Barton keeping a close look on what's going on over there. Chelsea?
Hey Gary, live out here once again on the quad where I found some special folks. I'm here with the Nail family from Higdon, Alabama, and this is some of their first time in Tuscaloosa and all of their first time here at an A-Day. How are you guys liking Tuscaloosa and the A-Day experience thus far?
It's great. It's so beautiful here.
Awesome. And the girls here are really excited. They're 8 years old, and as you can see, they're twins. Now, I understand you guys are excited about what's about to happen. Tell me what's going to happen here just on the quad.
AJ is about to put his handprint and his footprint in the concrete.
Yes, he sure is. And now, are you guys big Alabama fans?
Yeah.
Now, what do Alabama fans say?
Roll Tide!
That's right. Well, thanks to you guys, and we'll have the ceremony coming up in just a few minutes. But Gary, back to you.
Thank you, Chelsea. Good stuff over there at the quad. And right now we've got another special guest, former Crimson Tide All-American safety, current member of the Carolina Panthers, Robert Lester. Robert,
how you doing?
Thanks for your time.
No problem at all.
Hey, let's visit for a moment about you coming to Alabama. I hate to say you were overshadowed coming out of high school, but you were overshadowed coming out of high school because you played with a guy named Julio Jones. But
I did.
It worked out for both of you. Both of you are in the NFL. But just talk about the decision to come to Alabama. You knew that under Nick Saban nothing was going to be given to you. You had to earn everything that you got. You did that, and you carved out quite an impressive career for yourself here.
Well, I mean, nothing in life is ever given to you, and you know, I definitely learned that coming out of high school. I saw, you know, everybody wanting to give Julio the offers, and you know, I was hungry to get it too. And it just motivated me more to go out there and work hard and to get my offers also.
As I said, it worked out for you. One of the top interceptors in Alabama history, built a reputation for big plays, and then you have the next goal of moving on to the National Football League, undrafted. And again, nothing given to you, but once again, you made it work. And not only did you make the Panthers roster, you had a heck of a rookie season.
I appreciate it. I mean, it's one of those things, man. You never know what's going to happen, and I definitely didn't see myself going undrafted, but you know, that's something that happened, and again, you know, it motivated me to go out and show people that I can play, prove to the Panthers that they picked up a great guy. I mean, that's exactly what I went out there and did. You know, I wish I could have had more games to play because there's a lot more things that I wanted to go out there and do.
One of the highlights of your rookie season was that interception of Tom Brady.
Oh, yeah.
But you got overshadowed because of all the controversy with the play with the tight end of the Patriots. But that was a heck of a play.
Oh yeah, I mean that's definitely a highlight of my career. That's something I get to tell my grandkids about, and you know, their kids. And I'm definitely looking forward to picking off better quarterbacks.
Did Gronkowski get interfered with?
I don't think so. That's a clean interception and no pass interference at all.
Right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Hey, I want to ask you about this year's Alabama team because you went through similar circumstances. In 2009, the team goes 14-0. You come back in 2010, another national championship is predicted. You lose 3 games. You had to come off of that, and in 2011, 2012, you rebounded. We know what happened. This team, last year, was expected to win a 3rd straight national championship. It didn't happen. For the guys coming back, what's that like to be at the top, to fall down, and then try to get back on top?
Well, you know, 2010, you know, we were projected to win the national championship, and like you said, we lost 3 games. And I mean, it motivates the guys to come back and play hard and prove that, you know, they need to go out there and get what's theirs. And I definitely think this team is going to go and fight real hard and make that championship run.
As a leader of that secondary, I mean, football's football, but Nick Saban, he does require more than just physical talent. He likes to be complex in his schemes, and he likes to have guys in the secondary that can do some different things to free those guys up front to run the kind of blitzes that they want to do. How much of it is physical and how much of it is mental playing for Nick Saban in the secondary?
Oh, well, I definitely think it's probably 70-30. 70% mental,
wow,
and 30% physical. I mean, the guys, like you know, you see them every day. You know, they're big, they're nice figures. Definitely can play physically,
right.
But to even step foot on the field, you got to have the mental aspect of the game.
I know your priority now is the Carolina Panthers, but you still follow this Alabama team. A lot of openings in that secondary. You mentioned that he's looking for probably more mental than physical, but knowing this personnel a little bit, is there enough of Nick Saban's type of players for Alabama to have a secondary much like they had when you were here, and you know, as opposed to last year where, quite frankly, they gave up some big plays?
Oh, yeah, definitely. You know, Landon Collins is a guy that's definitely going to step up this year and probably take control of the secondary. They have older guys that know the system, like Nick Perry. I mean, there's no doubt about it that their secondary will be just as strong as previous years.
A couple more questions. First of all, how good does it feel now to be in the NFL and get to come back to A-Day as a special visitor, especially with the way Coach Saban welcomes in you former players?
I was just telling my friend, I wish that I could suit up and get out here on the field with him. You know, it's great to be out here. It's great to have the support from all the fans. I mean, it's just good to be home.
And finally, last year, huge move by the Panthers, you know, to win the division championship. That NFC South from year to year, you never know. You know, seems like the Falcons, the Bucks, and the Saints all battle back and forth. But is Carolina a Super Bowl contender in your mind?
Oh, definitely. You know, we were a young team. You know, we didn't have any playoff experience. I definitely think we know what to expect this year. Definitely going to fight harder, play harder this year, and definitely have the chance to make that run.
Thank you so much, Robert.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Robert Lester, former Crimson Tide All-American, now a member of the NFL's Carolina Panthers. Well, we're only about halfway done, and A-Day kickoff is getting closer and closer. Next on the big show, we'll announce the winner of our first A-Day trivia question presented by Krispy Kreme and the Soup Store. You'll also have one more opportunity to win. Plus, it's one of the more talked about competitions in recent memory on the capstone, running back. You talk about talent, that position is loaded. Could it be a two-headed monster with Yeldon and Henry? We'll discuss after the break. Bryant-Denny Stadium is primed and ready for some football. Stay right here as we get you ready for A-Day 2014. We'll be right back on Crimson Tide Kickoff. We're back on CTKO's A-Day special with our first A-Day trivia answer, brought to you by Krispy Kreme and the Soup Store. The question was, before Nick Saban arrived at Alabama in 2007, what was the previous record for attendance at an A-Day game? The answer, 1988. 51,117 fans packed into Legion Field in Birmingham while renovations and expansion were going on at Bryant-Denny Stadium. Congratulations to Jason Houston. He is our winner. He knew the answer. Stay tuned for another chance to win in just a bit. And now here's a live look at the Walk of Champions. The fans are beginning to file into the stadium as we inch closer to kickoff on A-Day 2014. Well, if there's one position that Nick Saban has recruited better at than any at his time at Alabama, and they're recruited well at all of them, you could make an argument, though, that it's at the running back position. B.J. Milliken joins us live from the Walk of Champions to discuss the stable that Coach Saban has assembled for this season in T-Town. With each recruiting class comes more 4- and 5-star runners. B.J., what do you got for us?
They grow on trees out here, the 4- and 5-star running backs. But the weird thing about this year, nobody went to the NFL. That means a log jam at the running back position. Scott Braswell has more on what to look for today with the Crimson Tide running backs.
Since the arrival of Nick Saban in Tuscaloosa, running back has been an area of strength. This season is no different. As talented as the unit is, Coach Saban says there's always room for improvement.
There's nobody on our team that can improve, including me. All right, I can improve the way I coach them. The coaches can improve what they do, and every player on our team can improve.
The leader of the group, rising junior T.J. Yeldon, rushed for over 1,200 yards and 14 touchdowns last season. Yeldon has spent the spring taking the first team reps and trying to learn the offense of new coordinator Lane Kiffin. Another back who has caught the attention of the coaching staff, Derrick Henry. Henry finished the 2013 season with a bang. In the Sugar Bowl loss to Oklahoma, Henry was one of the few bright spots for the Tide, finishing with 100 yards rushing on 8 attempts. Coach Saban spoke highly of Henry's play this spring.
He picked up right where he left off in bowl practice last year, and he's worked really hard, runs really hard, plays with a lot of toughness, really gets it. You know, very conscientious guy, sets a great example. Physical in the way he plays.
The depth doesn't just stop with Yeldon and Henry. Kenyon Drake is the next man in line, and from there it's Alti Tenpenny and Tyron Jones. And you can't forget about 5-star tailback and local Tuscaloosa native Bo Scarborough, who arrives on campus this summer. So you could say it's a crowded backfield. For Crimson Tide Kickoff, I'm Scott Braswell.
All right, thank you, Scott. There you see the numbers. Yeldon has the experience. Derrick Henry, though, gives you that physical presence that Alabama didn't have last year, a lot like Trent Richardson and Mark Ingram. A couple of guys whose status is yet to be determined is Alti Tenpenny and Kenyon Drake. They were disciplined earlier this week. No word as to whether or not they'll play. Now we're here with a fan. Who are you looking forward to seeing at running back today?
Justin Fowler and Derrick Henry, two of my favorite players.
There you go, two big bruisers for the Crimson Tide looking to get in this game today. I'm sure they're going to have plenty of carries. And like Scott mentioned, Bo Scarborough coming in this fall, he's a guy who's already said he has more talent than anyone on the Crimson Tide roster. So we'll see how that goes. Gary?
Thank you so much, BJ. And rejoining me from Tide 99.1 Sports Radio is Martin Houston. And now we're going to talk about a position you know something about, running back. You were a bruising fullback. Let's start, because everybody's talking about the tailbacks. Let's start with the fact, though, that Lane Kiffin is going to bring back the fullback. And a guy that kind of reminds me of you a little bit, Justin Fowler. That's going to be a great opportunity for him again to punish some people.
Yeah, I think it just, I know it's old school, but I think it adds so much to the offense. It gives you a lot more options to me in terms of running game. And last year, I thought we were hurting on the physical aspect of our running game, especially in short yardage. And I think Justin Fowler at that fullback position is going to create a few more options and hopefully give us a better identity, Gary, of being a hard-nosed running team.
All right, let's talk now about the tailback position. T.J. Yeldon returns already over 2,000 yards rushing in 2 seasons, but there are some fans that don't think he's the best on the team. Derrick Henry really took off in the Sugar Bowl, but you've also got Kenyon Drake, who has explosiveness. All T.T. Penny and Tyron Jones are waiting their turn. Is it possible to have too much talent at one position?
Well, I think it is possible, but if anybody can manage it, I think that Kiffin can with his experience from with Lindell White and Reggie Bush. I think he's going to bring that aspect to the Alabama offense that we hadn't seen, getting two really talented running backs on the field at the same time. But looking forward to just a great season for the tailbacks at Alabama.
And we know this, Martin, an injury or two can change everything's in a hurry, and you say you have too much depth, and then a couple of guys get hurt, and you need it quickly.
Yeah, especially when you take the fact that Alabama wants to run the ball this year, and Henry with his running style, it increases the likelihood of injury. And hey, we have enough guys that I think if one goes down, that Alabama won't skip a beat.
The numbers from last year back it up that there is a lot of talent returning on this Alabama football team, with Yeldon, Henry, and Drake, all of whom showed great flashes last year. We talked about Fowler. You add in Tenpenny and Tyron Jones and the freshman coming in from Tuscaloosa, Bo Scarborough. This really could be a position of strength. Thanks, Martin.
Thanks, Gary.
All right, here is what we're doing when we come back. Richard Scott will introduce us to some Tide fans hanging around the Walk of Champions. They hope to be a part of another capacity A-Day crowd. And it may be an exhibition, but don't think these players and coaches aren't taking the game seriously. A win may mean a nice meal for one half of the team and a not-so-nice meal for the other half. Coach Saban talks about that coming up. But before we head to break, it's time for our A-Day trivia, again brought to you by Krispy Kreme and the Soup Store. Who was the MVP of last year's A-Day game? Think back to last year, then send your answer in using Twitter and the hashtag CTKO Trivia for your opportunity to win. We'll give you the answer and a winner later on in the show. Stay with us. More CTKO 8A is coming up after the break. Well, A-Day is a big game for these players, but there's more on the line than just winning and losing. For a bunch of college kids, the opportunity to eat steak instead of beans and franks is a big incentive to win the game. Coach Saban spoke about that subject earlier this week.
You know, we always have the traditional steak and beans, on Monday, which I really enjoy. As the commissioner, I can basically, the players were on me the other day, said you have to choose a team, because they get tired of me over there eating steak and not being on a team.
Coach Saban wins either way. He doesn't pick a team. He's the captain. So he'll eat with the winners and have a steak regardless. Well, it's time now to head back down to the Walk of Champions. Here's some sirens coming, as a matter of fact. That means the team's arriving. Chief Meteorologist Richard Scott is right back down in the middle of it with some Crimson Tide fans. Richard, give us a taste of what's going on the Walk of Champions.
Hey, Gary, a lot of activity right now. Everybody getting ready for the team. And I've got a couple of fans here that drove all the way from Mississippi to come to A-Day. Now, what's your name? Where are you guys from?
I am David Robinson. I'm from Tupelo, Mississippi. Donna Gray from Amory, Mississippi.
Now, you guys are huge Alabama football fans, right?
Yes.
That is correct.
Absolutely.
Now, where were y'all born and raised? Y'all from Tuscaloosa or this area?
This is actually my sister. We're from North Mississippi. I was born in Aberdeen. She was born in Clarksdale.
His first trip to Tuscaloosa.
Yeah.
We've been
First trip.
First trip to the stadium.
Well, welcome to Alabama. Roll Tide, by the way. And, again, we're here with a couple of fans here. Now, you guys are about to go in the stadium here in a few minutes. What are you guys looking forward to for A-Day?
I'm looking forward to seeing Henry run the ball. I agree with the earlier comments about him being the missing powerhouse from last year, and I'm just really excited to see the fans' reaction to the power back in the backfield again.
Yeah, what about you?
An Alabama win.
An Alabama win. Who do you think? All right, big question. Who are you pulling for today, Alabama or Alabama?
Absolutely Alabama.
Alabama all the way. What if the other Alabama team wins?
I'll survive.
You know, some people actually pull for one side. I think it's, what is it, crimson and white, or it's two different teams actually here in A-Day that's part of Alabama. Are you guys picking for a specific side?
I'm kind of leaning toward crimson. I prefer those jerseys, actually.
So you're a Crimson fan?
Yeah, I'm a Crimson.
Awesome. Well, very nice to meet you guys. And, hey, I want to get a big Roll Tide real quick. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. All right, Gary, we're going to go back over to you in the stadium. What's happening, Gary?
Thank you so much, Richard. We'll get a final check of your game day forecast in just a little bit, so hang tight. Coming up, we'll hear from a couple of the permanent captains who made their presence here at the Capstone even a little more permanent just a little while ago. And next, we dive into one more position check in depth. We'll look at the defensive backfield. It's Nick Saban's specialty. How will this group fight through injuries and more? CTKO's A-Day special will be right back. Bryant-Denny Stadium is where it's happening. Stay with us for more right after this. A football game will take place in Bryant-Denny Stadium today for the first time since November and the last time until September. We're inching closer and closer to the kickoff of the 2014 A-Day game. Right now, we'll continue breaking down some key positions to watch for on this A-Day. We've covered two on offense, quarterback and running back. Now let's get to the defensive side of the ball. B.J. Milliken joins us once again from the Walk of Champions to discuss the much talked about secondary.
Yeah, Gary, you know, a poor performance in the Sugar Bowl kind of put a light on that position. And with all eyes on them today, Andrew Clare tells us more about what to look for out of the defensive backs.
Despite losing 3 starters, there has been steady progress and competition in the Alabama secondary this spring.
Everybody's stepping up because everybody wants to play and everybody wants to be that guy and get on the field. So it's just a learning process and everybody just asking questions.
Last season, the starting cornerback position opposite Deion Blue changed often, with several players getting starts. Coach Nick Saban says the competition at the cornerback position has benefited everyone.
It's given Tony Brown a ton of reps. You know, Bradley has been getting a ton of reps. Anthony Averett gets a lot more reps now.
The lone returning starter from last year's secondary, Landon Collins, is ecstatic for Kirby Smart to take over the duties in the secondary.
It's been a change of pace. I mean, he wants us to pick the tempo up at the same time, but that's a great thing because it gets us in condition and get us to work faster and get our mind right working fast at the same time.
There is plenty of experience at the safety position, with Collins, Jarek Williams, and Nick Perry all returning. Collins is looked at as a leader by his teammates.
That role change for me is just, you know, people looking up to me, just asking me questions and trying to figure out how to look at this or how to do this or how to do that. I mean, it's just crazy.
The competition will heat up in August when Eddie Jackson is expected to return from a torn ACL. I'm Andrew Clare for Crimson Tide Kickoff.
Yeah, and like Andrew said, no Eddie Jackson today. That means Bradley Silv is going to get a lot of looks, Cyrus Jones as well. I'm here with Jake and Gracie. I got it right. I'm so excited. Guys, are y'all looking forward to this game today? Who are you looking forward to seeing most? Who's your favorite player?
AJ McCarron, but
well, that's okay. That's okay. He's a lot of people's favorite. Who's your favorite, buddy? AJ. A lot of AJ fans. Maybe they'll become Blake Sims fans today. We don't know. Or maybe Jacob Coker later on. Gary, I'm going to send it back to you.
Thank you, BJ. I got a feeling they'll find some guys from this year's team to become big fans of, no doubt about it. Well, our CTKO analyst Martin Houston rejoins us now to discuss the secondary. We talked about it with Robert Lester a little bit earlier, but Martin, Alabama has a complex defensive system, and a lot of the things that Nick Saban wants to do with the front seven is dictated by what that back half of the defense can do. Can they play man-to-man? Can they scheme well enough to disguise what they're doing to free up that front seven? Talk about the holes in the secondary, because quite frankly, when you lose guys like Ballou and Sinceri and Ha-Ha Clinton-Dix, you got to start over.
Yeah, well, there's no replacement for experience except for to get it. So that's going to be the hurdle that this defense is looking at. But one of the things, if you're going to start over, Gary, it's good to start with talent. Right. And he brought in Tony Brown, of course, coming in early, along with some of the veteran guys. These guys will be starting in a lot of other schools. So I know the cupboard is bare in terms of starting, but there's some experience in the safety. But I think Tony Brown getting in early, and then if an injury can help for a fall season, Eddie Jackson's injury has allowed more guys to get some reps. So, and looking forward to Marlon Humphrey being thrown into that mix come the fall as well.
Yeah, you mentioned Brown, you mentioned Humphrey coming in, you mentioned Jackson, disappointed that he went down, but we hear that term lockdown corner, and I don't know if there really is such a thing, but there are guys who can really play man-to-man well. How important is it in this system to have at least one, if not both corners, that can really lock down a receiver?
It is absolutely where it all starts with Nick Saban being a great defensive coach, because what it does is it allows him to take the other 10 players and move them around and put them in a position, create pass rush, create pressure on the quarterback, which makes it less likely for the quarterback to sit back and pick an open guy. And so if you don't have that corner, you're now having to keep a safety out in the back of the secondary, so you're not able to get as much pressure up front, and it changes everything in this defense.
Yeah, the last 30 seconds, you mentioned the pressure. The secondary got gassed at times last year, but some of that had to do with the fact that the quarterback had too much time to throw. How much does a big-time pass rush help that back half of the defense?
I was blessed to play with Copeland and Curry, Langham and London, Teague and those guys. I say great defensive backs make great pass rushers. Great pass rushers make great defensive backs. And so without that pass rush, the guys just don't stand a chance in the secondary.
Thanks, Martin. It's been great having you.
Thanks for having me, Gary.
Again, join Martin and Baron Huber every morning on Tide 99.1 for the Houston and Huber Show, weekday mornings on Tide 99.1. Well, next on the show, we'll hear some final thoughts from Coach Saban on this year's spring practice sessions, how he thinks the team has improved heading into the long off season. Plus, we'll hear from a couple of members of last year's team who will be immortalized forever in concrete at Denny Chimes. You're looking live at the Walk of Champions as fans are making their way inside the gates for A-Day 2014. Crimson Tide kickoff A-Day special will continue right after this timeout. Stay with us. A live look inside Bryant-Denny Stadium as the fans are starting to file in and get ready for the 2014 A-Day game. Well, you know, this week has been like a game week for the Tide coaches and players. They really do treat it that way. After today, it's back to lifting and the off-season program in preparation for fall camp coming up in a few months. Now, Coach Saban gave us some final thoughts on his team's progress throughout the spring. Here now, more Coach Talk.
It's time for Coach Talk, brought to you by Locklear, Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, and Ram, your local 5-star dealer.
I really do think that we made a lot of progress this spring with a lot of players. Obviously, we're not satisfied with where we are, but you know, this A-Day game, I think I look at a little bit like it's an exhibition game for our players and our team. It's an opportunity for them to go out and play game-like circumstance, game-like situation, and it's really your first opportunity as an individual, as a unit, or as a team to, you know, really create an identity for who you are, how you play, how you compete, the kind of effort you give, the kind of toughness you play with, the kind of discipline you have to execute, the ability to focus on the next play regardless of what happened on the last play. And, you know, those things are important, I think, in being able to compete through the tough circumstances and adversity that we have in our league, in tough games as well as, in tough places to play. So this is important for us.
So it's been a productive spring, according to the head coach, and his opinion matters more than anybody else's. Well, you know what? It is certainly an honor to put your hands and feet down in the concrete at Denny Chimes, to be immortalized forever as a permanent captain of an Alabama football team. You join the likes of Joe Namath, Harry Gilmer, and so many other greats. This year, Kevin Norwood, A.J. McCarron, and C.J. Mosley did the honors. Their hand and footprints are immortalized forever for fans to see, from now really until eternity. These guys were a significant part of 2 national championships at Alabama, and we caught up with the quarterback, A.J. McCarron.
And so much tradition at this school, so I speak on behalf of all 3 of us. It truly is a blessing and an honor.
I really wanted to come out here and really do this for my family, my little cousins and stuff that are here, and just basically set the bar for them, let them know they can achieve anything they want to.
And of course, now the next chapter of their lives, they hope, will lead them to a career in the National Football League. But whether or not they're successful at that level or not, they'll always be remembered fondly, as I said, right here at the University of Alabama as permanent captains for 2013. All right, coming up next, a final look at our forecast with Richard Scott. Stay with us, CTKO. We'll put a wrap on it when we return live to Bryant-Denny Stadium right after these messages. Welcome back, everybody. It's time now for the answer to our final A-Day trivia question. Thanks to our friends at Krispy Kreme and the Soup Store for sponsoring this particular segment. The question was, who was the 2013 MVP for A-Day? The answer, T.J. Yeldon. Congratulations to Stuart Wilkerson. He got the answer right and got it into us on Twitter. Thanks to everybody who participated. We really appreciate it. Well, TJ has a rare opportunity today. He could become the first Alabama player to win a 3-peat as MVP. That's right, he's going for his 3rd straight MVP award. He also won in his freshman season, so that would certainly be impressive. All right, let's take one more look at our game day forecast with Chief Meteorologist Richard Scott.
Hey, Gary, the team just got here. A lot of folks here excited about the team arriving here on the University of Alabama campus at Bryant-Denny Stadium. The weather is perfect. Right now, we are talking lots of sunshine. Let's go over to the maps and show you what's happening. We got 72 in Tuscaloosa, and, hey, on the satellite and radar, nothing to worry about today. We'll go over that satellite and radar composite and show you what's happening across Alabama. The clouds, they are out of here now. Sunshine back in full force. In fact, we'll notice that for A-Day. Let's check out the A-Day forecast right at Bryant-Denny Stadium. I think we'll be around 75 by 1 o'clock at kickoff, and temperatures holding steady right around 75 and lots of sunshine. In fact, if you got plans heading home after the game, we'll check out that forecast as well, with temperatures slowly falling after sunset. We're only talking upper 60s by sunset, so we are talking perfect weather for A-Day on the University of Alabama campus. Get a Richard Scott live here at A-Day on the University of Alabama campus on the Walk of Champions, right next to the Walk of Champions, on this perfect weather day. Gary, back to you in the stadium.
Absolutely, Richard. Loving that forecast. Well, we're about to wrap our program up, but our work really has just begun. A reminder to join B.J. Milliken tonight on the news at 10. We'll have a complete A-Day wrap-up, plus the Alabama gymnastics team goes for a 7th national championship. Alabama baseball goes for victory number 2 in Knoxville, and the Alabama softball, tennis, women's tennis, and golf teams all in action today. We'll have it for you tonight at 10. Well, if you missed any of our CTKO A-Day special, don't worry. We're re-airing the program right now at noon, so you can tune it in and catch our interviews with Robert Lester and more. So make sure and stay tuned for an encore presentation. Let me say thanks to all the great people who made this program possible. A lot of people that you do not see during the telecast, but you see them right now on your screen. We could not have done it without them. So for our producer, B.J. Milliken, our technical director, Jen Hamner, and all the rest of the great folks here at WVUA TV, thanks for watching Crimson Tide Kickoff's A-Day special. Have a great afternoon. Enjoy the game, everybody. So long.